Hello everyone, I'm VS Vaidyanathan and today we'll be looking at JavaScript in Qualtrics. This is part of the COG Workshop 2022 conducted at Temple University. So why Qualtrics? Well, Qualtrics gives you a lot of out-of-the-box functionality, right? For survey data collection, it has a pretty easy to use interface. Most of it is just drag and drop or click and drag and drop. It's great for collecting behavioral data where you don't need any process tracing methodologies. So if you have a pilot that you want to run or your study one where you quickly want to go in and see whether your hypotheses are working, whether your mediators and moderators are working as intended before you get into more detailed process tracing methodologies, you need something which will allow you to just set up the survey and go. And once your survey is done, it allows you to download the data really easily and clean it up really easily. I think this is the biggest advantage for me when I use Qualtrics rather than PsychoPy is that data cleaning is way easier because I can force responses, I can remove incomplete responses, I can remove stuffed responses, all of these really easily using Qualtrics. Of course, for all Temple University students, grad students, it's free. So it's a tool that we have, it's available and it's free. So we should use it. What is JavaScript? Well, JavaScript is one of the most fundamental technologies of the World Wide Web, along with HTML and CSS. And it's a really good skill to have, even outside of just research. What JavaScript does is it allows the server to deploy a piece of code onto your computer. And so when you do a certain action on your computer, that code gets executed and you pull more data from the server. A classic example of this is your Twitter timeline or your Insta timeline, where as you scroll, what happens is more and more posts get loaded. And this is really difficult to do if you want the server to be continuously polling you. The easier method is to see what the client is doing, what you are doing on your browser, and then use that to go and get pull requests from the server, and it reduces the load on the server a lot. So this is primarily what JavaScript is used for client-side scripting. Within the context of research, even there, its use cases are pretty wide ranging. If you want to collect online data, as we have been doing for the past couple of years, and you want to do it through Pavlovia, which is JSPsych, it's basically JavaScript written in a PsychoPy sort of friendly manner. So you might need JavaScript experience if you want to use PsychoPy in an online environment as well. What we are going to be looking at today is much narrower than that. We are going to be looking at JavaScript within Qualtrics, and specifically we are going to be looking at very few use cases within this. For example, we are going to see how to move timed moves to the next page, randomizing the order of stimuli, piping answers, changing font characteristics, for example, customizing your video player. Here is a great resource which I used when I started using JavaScript in Qualtrics. It's slightly dated in that the syntax has changed for jQuery in Qualtrics, but you should still be able to use the ideas here in your own research. So what we are going to be doing today is not fall in love with JavaScript, is not become an expert in JavaScript. I personally don't like JavaScript, and I am not, I don't think I'm really good at it either, but it is a tool, and I have figured out how to use this tool within the boundaries of what my research requires me to. And hopefully I can get you excited about that as well. So before we begin, what we're going to do, the way we're going to structure this is we will test this toy hypothesis in a few Qualtrics surveys, right? And this is the hypothesis. Seeing happy animals evokes greater positive emotion from subsequent stimuli than seeing happy humans. So you see a happy animal and you see a stimuli, you feel happier rather than seeing a happy human and then seeing the same stimuli. This is what you want to test. You had this great idea, took it to your advisor, and they said, right, let's collect some behavioral data and test if this pans out, and then maybe we can marry to all of this theory, right? And so this is the hypothesis that we're going to be testing. Um, Before we begin testing it, let's make sure that all of us have these hygiene checks. All of us have a working Qualtrics account. We have the following images which will follow into your Qualtrics library. I'll tell you how to do that if you don't already have it. And you should already have the sample surveys, the QSFs, 5 QSFs from either Billy or Liz. So this is the happy animal that you decided. You went into, I think, IAPS or Ocean, one of those two. You got this happy animal, you got this happy human, and you got three neutral stimuli. And somebody told you, well, all of these are neutral. Why don't we see what happens when you put in a happy human and a happy animal? So that's your stimuli 4. So you have all of these 4 stimuli. You have your 2 treatment conditions, happy animal and happy human, and you're all good to go. So to start this in Qualtrics, first what you need to do is click on this blue line here on the top left, click on library, and click on graphics library, and you should see an option with a big green box and a plus to add more files to your graphics library. So if you haven't already done that, please go ahead and do it, and we will begin shortly. Thank you.